Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Sound check here. Can everybody hear me? If you can hear me, type yes in the chat box so that I know everything is okay. Good. All right. Thank you so much. Okay. My name is Yuan. So I'll be working with you for the next couple of hours on this interesting topic of developing an innovative mindset. Okay, I see quite a few familiar faces, or rather familiar names here. I think almost about a third of you have come to my workshops before. Okay, so for those of you who are not familiar with me, apart from the little blurb you saw at the intro, right? Just a little bit about myself. I am a career coach. I've been doing this practice for the last 7 years. I'm out on my own as a separate practice. I'm not working for WSG or anything. All right. And I've been doing workshops like this for WSG for, I think, almost 4 to 5 years now. Okay. And this topic is actually relatively new. It's about a couple of years new as far as me actually delivering this is concerned. Okay. But I think it's very interesting because all of you know that innovation, being innovative is a buzzword nowadays. And many a time when we ask ourselves, okay, so what's all the fuss about? Why is it important for us? So that's what I'm going to touch upon today. All right. Now, so at the end of this session, what we're going to try to do is really go through the little steps you can take to develop a mindset that allows you to be more innovative, okay, in the way you do things. But before we do that, we must really understand what are the signs of an innovative mindset. Now, what tells you about a person? What shows that they have an innovative mind? Okay, then really we have to understand why is this important for our career. Okay, this is actually really, really critical, especially in today's times. Okay, and then obviously, how then do we enhance or develop our mindsets further to show a higher degree of innovation? Okay, and then obviously at the last part, which I think we should have time, I'm going to just go through some tips and tricks on how we actually use and enhance and show off our innovative mindset when we are doing our job search or when we are going through our career. All right, is that all right? So now just a few logistics here. Okay, so you know that this whole session is going to take probably about a couple of hours. So I'm going to try and finish this by probably about 4 o'clock so that when we do, we have some time for Q&A, right? But since it's short, so as far as a coffee break is concerned, right? I'm not going to have a lot of time to give you very long coffee breaks, but I think there'll be at least one in the middle of the workshop. So probably about 3 o'clock or so. That will be for about a 10-minute or 15-minute session, right? And you may have noticed, okay, today we have so far right now about 60 people that's joined us. I'm glad to understand that about 130 have signed up. So I think, we've hit halfway mark. So in order not to distract everyone else, so I've sort of made sure that you are not able to unmute yourself for now, okay, so that there's not some background noises that will distract everyone else. But if you do have questions, please type into the chat box for any question that you may have and put the capital letter Q right at the beginning so that I know that is a question when I'm scanning through the chat, the messages. Okay, and I'm going to deal with the questions at the end of every section. Okay, so hopefully you bear that in mind, bear with me for the time being. Huh? All right. I also know from past experiences that many people actually are viewing this session on a small phone or whatever. Nothing wrong with that, but if you have access to a larger screen, by all means do so, because some of the things I'm going to show you, maybe like links or things like that, might be easier for you to actually access it on a larger screen or see on a larger screen. Okay, now for those of you who's going to ask the magic question, okay, are there PowerPoint slides or handouts to be given out? My short answer is no. Okay, but as you know, I'm recording this. So those of you, if you stay on to the end and you sign up to be part of my mailing list, I'll send the recording to you. Okay. However, the recording will actually be edited to exclude the Q&A for privacy purposes. Okay, so I realized that, sometimes when people are going through the Q&A, some of the things that they bring up might be very personal. So I rather not include it in the recording later on when it's made to public. Okay, so that's the whole idea. Is it okay with everyone? Okay, is the procedure okay? If it's okay, can you type into the chat box? It's okay. All right, okay, good. All right, so just here, okay, sorry. Yes, okay, good. All right, so these are the things that we're going to go through. So let's start with the first one, all right? What are the signs of an innovative mindset? What tells you that person is thinking in a very, I won't call it a strange way, but in a very different way, okay? So, but before we do that, we must understand what is innovation. What is innovation? Can you tell me, maybe you type into the chat box, what do you think innovation is all about? What is innovation? It's a buzzword that's been bandied around a lot. But, I just want to be sure that we are all on the same page here. Can you tell me what is innovation? Okay, Kelly says new ideas, out of the box. You create a lot of things. Val, ability to create, ability to think differently. New methods. Okay, very good. Thank you so much. I think those are really good pointers. So at the end of the day, when you want to innovate, all right, you are looking to improve or replace something right now. Okay, whether it's a process, a product or service, or even the way you do things. Okay, and sometimes these are reactive, either in reaction to something that's happened, or you are trying to anticipate something that's going to happen. And then and also it may be incremental steps that you innovate, or it could be a totally different or this new thing that really disrupts the whole way of doing things. Okay, like Floyd says, transformation. All right. So many of you have said this, right? It's actually a way of seeing new possibilities and opportunities. Or maybe in simplified terms, just doing things a little bit differently. Okay. So that is innovation, a very, very simple way of defining innovation. Okay. Let me ask you now, what organizations do you know that has got a very innovative culture, or they do things very differently? What organizations do you know of that does this? Okay, Kelly says Google. Anybody else? Any other companies? Apple. A lot of apples there. All the tech companies. Any other non-tech companies? Do you know that Amazon? Okay, SpaceX. Okay, 3M. Interesting. OCBC Bank. Okay, very good. Tesla, okay. Haidilao GovTech, okay, great. So what I hear you guys say here is this: these organizations you feel are innovative because what? They do things differently, they anticipate things that's going to happen. Fair enough. Okay, so these organizations, if they are innovative, then are we saying that the people inside the organization are also innovative? Are the people the ones that make the organization innovative? Okay, so let's think about this. So now if we then dig deeper into the individual aspect, let's talk about what a person is. What is it a person is supposed to do? What does it show? What reflects that he's innovative? Okay, so maybe you can give me some idea. Who are the people that you feel are very inventive, very innovative? Can you type in the chat box? I'm talking about people now. I've got names and all right? Right? So Floyd said Jack Ma, Albert Einstein, Thomas Edison. Any others? These are all, are there anybody currently? Okay, Jack Ma is current. Anybody else that is currently, you feel that's very innovative in the way they do things? Elon Musk, anybody within Asia apart from Jack Ma? Okay, Steve Jobs. Floyd, thank you so much. Okay, anybody else? Okay, well, Richard Branson, I think you're saying, Michael, right? Richard Branson. Okay, so what is it about these people that you feel makes them really innovative? I want to introduce you to a term that maybe you have heard about it before, but before I started doing this particular topic, I never know about this term before. Okay, but this term is called polymath. Okay, polymath is a person whose expertise spans a significant number of different subject areas. Such a person is known to draw on complex bodies of knowledge to solve specific problems. Okay, so this is not a person who is very good at maths. So this basically is a person who looks at different things, different disciplines, and puts them together to solve specific problems. Okay, well, Kelly says Leonardo da Vinci. So essentially over history, we have a lot of such people, right? So they've been called different things, okay? Philosopher king, Renaissance person, Leonardo is one of them, right? Scholars, right? Then you've got polymaths in the early 20th century, like Isaac Newton, Marie Curie, Theodore Roosevelt. Modern polymath, Elon Musk, some of you have mentioned that, okay? Steve Jobs, okay? So, and then Steve Jobs, I like this quote that he says, I view computer science as a form of liberal arts. That's a very interesting way of looking at it, right? Now, for me, my childhood hero of two persons who really, to me, depicts this nature of being a polymath or someone who is very, very innovative are two people that don't exist in real life. Okay, they are characters in my youth. Okay, these were Batman or Bruce Wayne and Iron Man. Okay, Tony Stark. Okay, what do these people have in common? What do these people have in common? Although they're not alive, okay, but they actually display traits combined with all the other people that you have listed down there. Okay, what do you think these people have in common? Can you type into the chat box? What do you think all these people have in common that makes them do things in a very different way? Any ideas? Okay, apart from money. I mean, money certainly helps, but then there's a question of whether which comes first, whether it was the money that allowed them to do that or whether they did it so that the wealth came. Okay, Lacey says courage, able to create things. That's very interesting, able to create things. We're going to talk about this in a while, but Sharon, change the world. So they have this view that they want to do something to affect a lot of people. Their mind, very logical, very scientific, very imaginative, Lacey says. Okay, visionary. Okay, so any other things you feel that all these people have in common? They make use of technology. Interesting, far-sighted, hands-on, imagination. Thank you so much. I think those are very good. Let's sort of summarize these into a few key points, okay, which I think they are very important because then as we move through the rest of today's workshop, you'll see that all these elements are very key in helping you spot what you need to do in order to enhance your own innovative mindset. Okay, so really a lot of the people who think differently, who does this differently, they look at the big picture, right? But they also see connections between different things, the linkages between different things, right? Many of them are generalists, but they are very good in a few selected areas. Very good in a few selected areas. Okay, they're synthesizers. They contextualize the problem and try and integrate knowledge to try and solve a particular issue. Okay, they're not closed. They're more open to trying out new things. They're more open to new experiences. Very sensitive to their surroundings, right? And why? This sensitivity then allows them to anticipate, allows them to spot things that they can have a big impact on, right? Left and right brain. Left and right brain, right? One is logical, the other one is creative. So they use a combination of both. And this last part, which I feel many people tend to miss out, but which is very, very important, is the fact that they are active and physically fit. Okay, so this is very important because if you don't have a fit body, your mind goes also. Okay, all right. So, it's all these qualities. As we go through today, you will see that these are the things that, in order for us to be to develop our mindset, to think in a very different way, to be more imaginative, really, these are the key elements that we need to have. Now, you probably heard a lot about these two terms, the T and the M, the T person and the M person. I'm sure you all have heard about it. Okay, maybe there's some new letters that come out now. right? But let's talk about the T first. What is the T? A T person is someone who learns across domains. But when coming down to a particular problem, he applies a specific set or specific domain to get results. Okay. What about the M? M person is someone who is pretty good in multiple selected areas. Okay. And how he approaches issues is by combining different areas to solve problems. So now you see this. So someone who is innovative is not someone who is just smart. Okay. Innovation is not about the level of intelligence. Okay. Innovation is about being able to use what you know, combining it together, and putting it into action. So it's the application part that's equally important. It's not just how much you know, but it's how you use your knowledge and experience. Okay, so that's very, very important. Okay, so the magic question here is this, right? Are you someone like that? Think about it. Okay, so I'm going to show you a list of 7 questions that you ask yourself. These 7 questions. I want you to look at each question carefully and ask yourself, do you really have that quality? And then let's see what the result is. Okay. So are you someone who always wants to learn something new? Usually you mostly self-taught. That means you like to learn by yourself rather than going through instructions. Okay. And sometimes when you feel that you don't know something, you feel a bit, you want to go and really learn, try to know something. Okay, you really want to know what's going on. Are you those 3? Okay. Socializing. Okay, I'm not saying that you don't like to socialize. Sometimes you do, especially with close friends. But if you're talking about, those basic events, meetings, or networking events, usually when you go out and socialize, you try and craft, why are you doing this? What's your objective? What's your purpose of going to do this action? Okay. You have a lot of hobbies and you're pretty good at it. You like creating new things or new activities. This last one, I find it quite funny. Few people understand you. Okay, so there's 7 there. Take a look at it. How many of these describes you quite well? If you got 5 or more, chances are you probably fall into this category of being a polymath or being an innovator. Or you think very differently. Okay. So hopefully there's some of you who qualify that. Okay. If not, don't worry. I mean, there are ways to help you enhance this aspect of yourself. Okay. And that's what we're going to go through today. Now, for those of you who get more than 5 out of this, 5 or more out of the questions that you've answered that suits you, what do you think are the challenges? When someone has an innovative mindset or someone who everybody sees as being very, very innovative, if you yourself are a person who is very innovative, what are the challenges you face? Can you type into the chat box? What do you think are the challenges innovative people face to the outside world? Any ideas? You type into the chat box. Rejection, Floyd says. Interesting. Criticism, getting buy-in, employees say no, you must have deep skills, Eddie. Okay, interesting you say that. Any others? Too fast-paced for others to follow. Like that, people think you are not practical. You are killing the cat. Eddie says, you are killing the cat. Any others? What are the difficulties that people who think differently? Disruptive. I like this, Kelly. Sometimes can be seen as disruptive. Okay, thank you very much. I think, at the end of the day, sorry, I'm clicking the wrong thing, right? Many people who call themselves innovative or think of things in a very different way, all right? They find themselves, they maybe specialists are perceived as experts. So, but then sometimes the expertise is very narrow, too narrow for a lot of people. And one of the irony here is this, okay? In school, we learn so many different subjects, right? So we are forced to be polymathic because in our exams, we must pass as many of those subjects as possible. But when we grow up nowadays, people ask us to specialize in certain things. So that's a really big challenge for innovators, people who want to think differently, polymaths, okay? Having to pick one career or education path sometimes is a challenge as well, right? You really don't know. I like this. I also like this. How can I choose two? You know, I don't want to sacrifice both. Do I have to choose one? Right? This one is interesting. It's hard for you to tell people what you do or what type of person you are because you can be so many different types of person. All right. And then really sometimes, your breadth of skills are so wide. Sometimes it's very difficult to fit it all into a very specific job because you can do a lot of things, right? And sometimes this is interesting. You may prefer to do things alone. Why? Many of you have mentioned this because you may feel that other people cannot catch up with you, or you feel you don't have the confidence that other people can do the things that you want them to do, right? They're not up to your standard, so to speak. Okay. This is interesting. I'm sure all of you have felt this. If you are someone who's innovative, you are very good in a lot of areas, right? Sometimes you get arrowed to do a lot of different things, right? So you get overtaxed. Or sometimes you feel, hey, actually, my job is so boring. I actually can do all those things. I can do this, I can do that. So you feel underutilized as well. So it's really a bit extreme, right? But it's very true, no? Right? So the extremes here is that either you get over arrowed, so to speak, or you just feel, I'm so bored in this job. Okay. And this one, you really don't like task-oriented jobs. Okay. Things that are mundane, step by step, 1, 2, 3, 4. Because you want to do things in a very different way. Okay, let me ask you now. Let's focus on the positives. What are some of the positive things that an innovative person can bring to the table? What do you think? Can you type into the chat box? What are some of the positive things that an innovative person can bring to the table? Anyone? There must be some positive aspects, right? What do you think? Fresh ideas, Floyd said. Very good. Any others? Actualizing hope, new perspective, new inventions. Very creative. Exciting. You think deeper than others. Okay. Optimism. You do things in a new way, new changes. Any other positives? Any other positives? Interesting, Lacey. Better lifestyle. Yeah. Maybe because they enjoy doing things. Huh? Visionary. We're going to talk about visionaries in a while. Okay. Inspirational. Okay, very good. All very good points. So let's bring out the positive parts. Right? Let's bring out the positive parts. Jack of all trades. That means you can do a lot of stuff. Now, obviously, there's going to be a negative, right? So, jack of all trades, the saying goes, right? Which I'm not going to say it now. Huh? You're very creative. You're very flexible. You can do things in a very different way, right? You're not constrained by limits. So you're very resourceful, and sometimes you are very self-reliant because you know you can do it, so you tend to go ahead and do it, right? And you love to learn and try new things. That is an exciting part about being someone who put things in a very innovative way. Hope you're beginning to see what sort of value this brings to the table, okay, as far as your career is concerned. Now let's talk about the negative. Okay, what's the negative parts of people like this? Right, so obviously the first one, jack of all trades. What's the flip side of jack of all trades? You can somebody type in the chat. It can be lonely. Yeah, it can be a lonely thing. Lack of focus. What else is there? Stressful, master of none. Sometimes don't finish what is started. Very interesting in WGL. Master of none. Okay. So really, sometimes people feel that, someone who thinks differently, I think someone mentioned earlier on is about disruption, right? You're very disruptive to the whole flow of things, right? Some people can think of it in a very negative way, especially if it comes out wrong. Okay. So let's summarize this. Negativity comes from being not good, the perception that you're not good in one particular area. Okay, lack of commitment, you don't follow through, you don't complete things. Okay, loner, someone mentioned that. Okay, people don't understand them, the way they think. You know, some people think, hey, this crazy or this person, why he thinks so why on? Okay, NATO, no action talk only. That's what. We're gonna come to that point, John. Sometimes you feel that you want to do everything and you don't let anybody else try. Okay, so these could be negative things. It could be perceived as negative within the company, especially within an organization right now. Now, someone asked me this question, very interesting to be addressed during this little workshop here. What about dreamers? What is a dreamer? Can you tell me, type into the chat box, what do you think is a dreamer? What type of person is a dreamer? You type in the chat box. Do you know of anyone who's a dreamer? Okay, visionary, Bernard, vision without action, right? Someone who's positive, could be. Usually dreamers are positive, right? But what is the difference? Imaginative, I like that, Sharon, imaginative. Now, I'm not going to put any value judgment of anyone who's a dreamer, because in every organization, we need someone who likes to dream big. Okay, someone who thinks out of the box. Okay, so someone who conceptualizes things. Okay, these are dreamers, so to speak. All right, but certain times, a dreamer alone can be seen very negatively. Now, when is that time? And what is the difference between a dreamer and someone who is very innovative? Do you guys know? What is the difference between someone who just sits back and dreams and conceptualizes versus someone who actually goes out and innovates? What do you guys think? A couple of you mentioned action. And that's precisely it. That's precisely it. Okay? Essentially, the difference between someone who is an innovative person versus someone who just dreams and conceptualizes is the fact that there is no action. Okay? A person who's innovative, right? He may build upon maybe the ideas conceptualized by this person who dreams it up, and he puts it into action. Right? So that is an innovative person. Someone who is a dreamer, somebody who is who likes to think about new ideas. Very important function, very important person, right? But his main role is basically to think out new ideas. So somebody else has to actually go and do and implement it. Okay. So what I'm saying here is this. Okay. Good to have dreamers, conceptualizers, visionaries, visionaries, is it? I don't know what you call it. All right. Good to have those type of people. But it's also equally important, if not so, that we have people who take the action. Visionaries, thank you, Kelly. Take the dreams and the vision and put it into play, implement it. Okay. I would argue that actually, people who are innovators are actually more important, in a sense that you are putting ideas into action. You're actually implementing it. Okay, so that's what we're going to focus on for today, is really trying to make sure that we implement things. Okay, but do it things in a slightly different way to effect a different outcome. Okay, so what is an innovative mindset? Basically, it's the ability to see beyond and question traditional borders, limits, and boundaries. Right? So if you see a box, all of you know, what's outside of the box? Can we push the box further? Can we break the shape of the box? Okay. So innovative mindset also looks at combining different ways of doing things and see, can we combine things, combine knowledge, combine expertise, and come out with a specific problem solving or specific solution. Okay. So you draw on many connections across many different fields to implement it. Okay, so you apply what you know, and then you create an action for that. Right? Hopefully you all agree on this. Okay, so because that is a thing that I want to sort of really make sure we try to enhance over the next hour plus or so, right, in this particular workshop. All right. So this first section, we have talked about the signs of having an innovative mindset. Okay, before we go on to the next section rather, are there any questions from anyone that you would like me to address? Type into the chat box. Anybody got any questions? I don't see anything. A lot of good comments. Thank you. I don't see any questions. If not, then I'll move on to the next portion itself. Okay. So maybe the next one is very more interesting for you guys. So what? No, we have innovative mindset. So why is this important for our career? Okay. And I guess that's what all you guys are here for, since you've applied it through WSG. Okay. So why? Why do we need to have the ability to see beyond the boundaries? Why do we want to exercise, create integrative thinking, draw complex solutions? Why do we want to apply and action all of these? What do you guys think? Why is it important for you to have an innovative mindset in your job, in your career? Let's take a check. Quimmy, we are going to answer that question. What kind of job suits innovators in actually the third section? Okay, right? Stay relevant to make things better. Businesses are transforming. You add value, improvements. What else is there? Any others? Cost saving, interesting. You try and save costs for everyone. So that's the outcome, right? You stand out from the rest. Okay, very good. I think the key thing here is that a lot of you have given comments which actually can be grouped into a couple of categories. I like this one, Bernard. Our world is becoming more automated and our value added is more in our innovation and creativity. All right, very good. So really at the end of the day, right, there's so many changes, technology, the way things are done, it has affected the world of work, the place we work in, our careers. Okay, everything has changed. I won't even say in the last 10 years, in the last 5 years, in the last 2 years, so many things have changed. Okay, so what happens in all these things? When change is going on, when change is being accelerated, okay, we need to future-proof ourselves. Right? So having a really suitably innovative mindset really helps us to move along this path of being future-proof. Okay, so that's the key thing here that hopefully you'll understand. So let's talk about technology. You all know about technological changes, but do you know that more than 50% of jobs are lost or altered significantly by automation or AI? This stats was actually done in 2020. I think by OECD in 2020. I think now is probably the statistics are probably even higher than that. Okay. So technological changes have actually resulted in many new jobs. Can you all tell me, type into the chat box again, what new jobs have been created over the last 5 years because of technology? What are some of the new job titles that has been created through technological changes of new technology? What do you guys think? You can type into the chat box. Got data scientist, UX, UI, data specialist, blockchain developer, cybersecurity, data analyst. Any others? Cloud computing, sustainability analyst. Yeah, I find it very difficult to keep track of all the new titles that's come up. So these are just some of the things that I've just basically been able to put down, right? App developer, social media manager, driverless car engineer, cloud computing. Now, amongst young people, there's a new term called what? Influencer, right? To many young people, that is also a new career, right? A drone operator, Michael says, okay? Then if you look at industries and within the schools itself, so many new things have come up, right? So you see the industries on the left side here, right? Biotech, green tech, IoT, mobile app developer, content marketing, the way the subjects in school, so many new subjects now. Long gone are the traditional subjects like biology or whatever, right? So you got what is called neuroparasitology. Okay, so it's neuroscience and parasites. Wow. Okay. Exometeorology, naturalism plus meteorology. Bioinformatics, info science plus biology. Right? So many new things have come up. What do you think are common? If you look at all the jobs that are created, all the new industries that are created, all the new subjects that are created here, what is a theme here? Can you tell me what is a theme here? What is common? Okay, Nicholas says new skills, but there's something generic here that you can see that's happening. It's very knowledge-based, okay, but what else? Digital savages, technology is science-based. But there's something that I think we all need to understand here is it's medical plus technology, science and tech. Okay, so the key word here is and. Okay, and meaning what? It is a combination of different disciplines to solve problems. Some of these disciplines are technology, some are not. But technology is the enabler. Okay, so like someone just put down interdisciplinary. All right, so no, these are the things, and really it sort of reflects upon people who think in that way as well. Okay, if you think about it, now most of the time when we solve problems, we actually have to combine different aspects of what we know to see how we solve that particular problem. All right, I like this. BN says it's very exciting. I really do think it's a very exciting time. I really do think so. At the end of 2019, Sloan MIT actually went and did a study, right, to examine the new world of work. Okay, the new world of work, and basically look at a few points. They said how replaceable are the core skill sets, and how much of a shift is there in the way value is delivered. So their study actually looked at those aspects. Okay, and it came up with a very interesting table, and I found that this particular study, the way they illustrated it was actually a very illuminating aspect of how technology and the way the world has changed would affect us. Okay, so let me share this with you. They have this thing on two axes. Okay, so might look a bit complicated here. So let me go into each individual one. Okay, so let's take a look at the first one, which says displaced jobs. Here, it says skills are deemed obsolete and the form of value delivery has been irreversibly altered. In other words, the way the service or the product is provided has changed. So it's quite interesting. Here, they put down this one example, is toll taker. There's no more toll taker already, right? So those of you who went into Sentosa before in the old days, they have a guy who's manning the booth. Now there's no more person manning the booth already. Okay, librarian, I think librarians still probably are needed, but there are probably fewer around. Now there's a lot of automation going on. All right. In fact, I don't know whether any of you actually have gone to a library in recent times, because I haven't gone to a library for a long time. I do all my research online. Right? Pharmacists, again, maybe it's something debatable. Maybe in some countries it has, but but you also see the trend that more and more people are doing self-help online. Okay, rather than going to a pharmacist and asking them what can they do to help me. Okay, so maybe this has not happened yet, but probably can be displaced in due course. Right? Disrupted jobs. Skills are highly standardized, but consumers still like the way value is delivered. Okay, so they still like the service, the personalized service. Okay, even though the skills are very standardized, okay, but people still like, the personal touch service. So interesting one, bricklayers. Even though they're machines, they're able to do it. I think sometimes people still think that bricklayers are good, but accountant is the other one, right? Those of you who are accountants, right? People value your input because you can do a lot of different things. I don't want to say whether you can do the numbers creatively or not, but that's still a very important part. Fast food server, I'm thinking whether that's still applicable now. I don't know what you guys think. Right? Maybe some people, because you can do a lot of self-help, but I still see a lot of people preferring to go to the counter and order directly from the person. So maybe they still value the person that's serving them. real estate agent. You still prefer someone to tell you all about the house, the property. You want people to show you around when you go on site visit and all that, right? So they still like dealing with a person. So sometimes, it's important to have the right person to serve you. Okay, so these are two: one displaced, one disrupted. So let's look at the other part, which is a little bit more positive. This one, deconstructed jobs. Skills remain safe, but the form of value delivery is shifting. In other words, the skills are still there, but the way you deliver the skills, the outcome is shifting, is changing. So they put down here, college professor. Well, maybe now what they're saying here is that instead of one-to-one, all these teachers, the instructors, the professors, maybe have to learn how to teach and deliver their knowledge in different platforms like e-learning, like online, whatever. Okay, so the value delivery is shifting. Okay, photographer. Now, I'm not sure why they put on photographer, but I guess, with now so many, photography is still a valued skill. But sometimes, whether the way it's delivered, maybe you get someone who can do this online. They take a picture for you and then they deliver it to you. Right? Livery driver are, if you look at the definition, is actually people who drive transport cars, taxis, Grab drivers, and all that. Okay, the skills remain safe, but the question is whether how long is it safe for, right? Because now with automation, with those, I don't know whether you all saw on CNA, there's some people there's plans to introduce those drones, those passenger drones, the Velocopter, WGS, coming in Singapore in the next few years. So those are automated drones. I'm not sure how safe they are, but those things are coming. So again, maybe, the deconstruction will go on further, right? Durable jobs. Interesting thing here. Maybe this is the aspect that all of us are more keen to understand. Both skills and form of value delivery are too difficult or costly to automate. Physician, doctors, nurses, electrician. I like this, right? So it's not just all the highbrow stuff, no? Electrician, plumber, still very, very important skills. And it's still skills that are valued. Okay, don't know whether in Singapore, maybe people don't see these professions as being very highbrow, right? But in Europe, in other places, people who earn the most are people who have got these skills, no? Electricians, plumbers, workers, because they have skills that other people don't have. Okay, and it's very difficult to find. All right, so if you think about it, if you look at all this, the way they construct the matrix of skill sets and how they are threatened, essentially what they're saying here is this. Okay, safe jobs typically, right, require a combination of social intelligence, creative intelligence, and dexterity of human senses. In other words, the way you can anticipate, the way you can figure out intuition, and in terms of solving problem. So, I found it very interesting. Someone typed into the chat box just now that says that AI now is able to play chess and beat the chess masters. Maybe later on, the AI will go on to become so sophisticated that they can try and solve very complex problems. But right now, as of today, maybe in the next 5 years, maybe this hasn't come yet. All right, because they have to, if you look at it, all these skills have to interact with other people. Okay, so this level of interactivity is really what separates the AI from the people. Okay, so jobs that will survive AI automation, at least for the next 5 to 10 years, are jobs that are listed here. STEM, like heavy equipment technicians, aerospace engineers, developers, okay, creatives, chefs, musicians, emotional IQ, nurses, doctors, therapists, and teachers. Okay, so I want to put in coaches as well inside there as well. Okay, there's an interesting comment here which I want to sort of flash up here. Okay, AI can also assess and read a person's emotion. I think eventually they can, but right now the way they assess is really looking at the facial gestures and also the tonality of the words. Okay, but there's still some mistakes done as well. But at the end of the day, it's all about how you read a person, how you anticipate a person. Okay, there's just one question here. Future-proof, does it mean the interesting question about fear factor is secure or creating insecurity? Sounds the future looks complex and gotten very, very complex. What's your personal advice for prospects in the education and training industry? Okay, now I'm going to answer this and in generic terms in the next section itself on how you can look at using this in your career. But essentially, if your job is really all about interacting with people, okay, it's about leveraging on your own experiences to look at how you can help other people, then I think we still have a place in the world. We still have a place in the world. Okay. But the trick here is really understanding what can you do to help the people. So educators, like the question there, educators and teachers and all, is really about how you use your knowledge. What aspect of your knowledge and experiences you can use to help other people. Okay. I hope I answered that question for you. All right. So, but it's a good question, by the way. So now we looked at the technology changes, we looked at the impact of technology, we looked at the way the world of work has changed. Okay. So why do we want to future-proof ourselves? Why do we want to future-proof ourselves? I think some of you have mentioned that in the chat, right? The messages. You can solve more complex problems. Right? You stand out and you can compete globally, not just locally, but globally. And you become an asset to the company. I'm going to talk a little bit more about how we become assets to the employer or the company. All right. So we've talked about the second portion now. Why is this important for our career? All right. Why is this important for our career? Before I move on to the third topic, which is how we're going to develop or enhance our innovative mindset. Is there any questions? Anybody got any questions? I think I addressed one just now from Rock Cheers, I believe. Yeah. Any others? Any other questions? Okay. Let's move on. How to develop or enhance your innovative mindset. How do we do all those things? How do you develop all those qualities you see in the red box? Okay, the ability to see beyond boundaries, exercise integrative thinking, okay, draw complex connections across many different fields, and how do you action them? How do you action them? Essentially, I'm looking at a few ways. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ways of looking at this. Okay, so I'm going to go through individually one by one. And later on after this, then I'm going to share with you how you can actually implement this in your own jobs or careers. First of all, the engine, the thing that drives you. Essentially, there are 2 aspects to this in terms of your engine. The first one, attitude. Can you tell me what sort of attitude you need to have in order to think outside the box? In order to think outside the box, what do you think we need to have? Purpose-driven, very good, BN. Any other ways of positive, open-minded? What else? Positivity is very important. Experimental, I like this word, Kelly, experimental. Any other points? Ask questions, be curious. Yes, Sharon, very curious, creative. Risk-taking, John. I think certain degree of risk-taking, being not afraid to fail. Bold, staying agile. Resilience, I like that, Kelly, because sometimes you fail, right? So you have to be resilient. Okay, how to do better. Let's talk about all these. Essentially, someone mentioned that you want to be curious. You want to know what's going on. You want to know why people are doing certain things. Why is this being done this way? Okay. You also want to embrace change. Don't be afraid of change. So what's happening now over the last couple of years when there's so many things happening in the world? Okay. Instead of, I mean, those of you who've been to my last workshop last month, instead of being in a waiting room, waiting for the old ways of the work to come, embrace the change and adopt the new ways of doing things. Okay? I like this one, collecting experiences. Don't be afraid of trying new things. Go and collect new experiences. It could be work-related, it could be non-work related. Just something new that sparks creative juices in your head. Right? This one is interesting. Don't be bogged down by perfection. Right? Sometimes you fail. Right? So instead of trying to sort of do everything perfectly, because sometimes you analyze things too much until you don't actually get to do things. You don't actually move ahead. Okay? So don't be bogged down by perfection, but don't expect overnight successes. Okay? Sometimes you have to put in a lot of work. You have to be resilient, because sometimes things may not turn out the way you think it should turn out. Okay? This one, I think, is so important. Do not be afraid of technology. So those of you who find it difficult to learn new tech, right, you need to sort of embrace a new technology, because technology is an enabler for a lot of new things coming on, like it or not. Okay, so that's why now, there's such a big move for even to try and get the mature workers to get more familiar with all the new apps, the new internet platforms, even looking for jobs online. Okay, so it's about looking at how we use technology to help us. All right. I always like to ask this question. I always ask this question when sometimes, things come my way. And I think, what will happen if I try to do this differently? What will happen if I try to do this differently? Okay. Ask yourself this every time you come across something that's difficult to do, or something that's a problem. Think of it as doing it differently. Okay, doing it differently. Okay. By the way, can you all hear me properly? Because I think there was a comment that maybe my voice is too low. I'm moving down to. Okay, good. All right. Maybe I'll talk a bit louder and closer to the mic. All right. So that's one aspect, the attitude. The attitude. All right. The other one here is, I call this a talent stack. A talent stack. In other words, what makes you unique? What makes you stand out or stand apart from the masses? Okay. This next table I'm going to show you is actually a table I share with a lot of my past workshop participants. So if you've been to my past workshops, you probably have seen this before. But I think for half of you who have not, this is the first time you're working with me, I'm going to share this with you. So I'm going to go through the individual steps on how we actually identify what makes us tick. Okay, so I use this framework, this matrix. So you can see here, it comprises 4 boxes. All right. So at the top here on the left column, you see preferences. I like to do this. I don't like to do this. At the top, it reflects competency. I'm not good at this. I am good at this. So mixture of competency and preference. Okay. The reason why I always ask my client to go through this exercise is really to make sure they have an inventory of skills and experiences that they can develop further if they want to. But knowing what these are is really important, because nowadays when people ask you about what skills you have, right, you need to think about these in terms of whether you're good at it, and you think about it in terms of whether you like to use these skills. So it's very, very important. Okay, so first one, I'm in the orange box, the top right corner. I'm good at this and I like to do this. We call this motivated skills. Motivated skills. What are the skills you like to use? and what are the skills you are good at? Take the time to write this down. In fact, if you all want to take a picture of this box, maybe do this as a homework. But I think it's really important for those of you, who have not done this before. Okay, I'm good at this. I like to do this. Okay, for me, it was working with people, or it is working with people. For me, it is doing marketing, but more marketing in a traditional sense. Okay, for me, it's also analyzing issues and going into problem-solving mode. Okay, so I'm good at this and I like to do it. Let's talk about the red box. The red box, okay, as the name goes, burnout skills. I'm good at this, but I don't like to do this. I'm good at this, but I don't like to do this. So what are your burnout skills? For me, it was managing sales, managing numbers. My bosses have told me that I was actually good at achieving numbers. Okay, I always reach my targets or exceed my targets, but I didn't like to do it. It causes me a lot of stress. So I classify that as my burnout skills. So what are your burnout skills? Okay, write this down somewhere. What are your burnout skills? Blue corner. I'm not good at this, but I like to do it. Okay, we're going to expand on this in a little while under learning. Okay, but essentially, these are skills that you want to develop further. Okay, you want to learn more because you're very interested in this. So a few months ago, when I started looking at the way I deliver my workshops online, I really like doing things online. I really like delivering and teaching online because I've been doing this actually for the last 5 years or so already, even before the pandemic. Okay, but in the last couple of years, I found that maybe things are getting a bit stale. So how do I change things up? So a few months ago, 5-6 months ago, in fact, a bit longer than that, I found myself, maybe I'm not so good at doing things on Zoom and all that. So I started learning new ways of doing things, which I expand a little bit later on. So I classify in that time my skills in that area, things that I'm not good at it, but I like to do it. So I learn, I put some effort to learn how to do things. Okay. Last one, the brown corner. I'm not good at it. I don't like to do it. I'm sure some of you have got these quality, the skill sets in here. Okay. So I think it's important for us to know what these are. Okay. So write this down. It could be a lot, it could be few. Okay. Hopefully it's not too many. Right? Basically, these are skills you feel that I don't really need to use them. Okay, because either I'm not good at it or maybe I don't like to use it. Okay. Now, really the idea here is very simple. Knowing what these skills are in these categories can help you in the following way. Number one, it can help you identify, okay, what new skills you want to learn. What new skills you want to learn. Okay, so in the blue box. It can help you identify what skills you want to highlight in your job search or in telling your new bosses, new prospective bosses, those in the motivated skill sets. You want to use more of those, so you want to highlight those things. Okay, you want to be aware of things that make you use your burnout skills more. I'm not saying that you find a job which doesn't need you to use your burnout skills, because I'm sure there's some who would need that, but you need to be aware of it and how you manage it. Okay, so very, very important. Are we okay with this so far? All right, no questions on this one? Okay, good. So we talked about the engine, right? We talked about the engine, and here we really focus on two aspects: attitude and talent stack. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to try this again, offline in your after the workshop. Try this. Bring a successful approach from one part of your life, whether it's your hobby or whatever, to your job or career, or maybe it's from an industry which you previously worked to your current industry. Okay, I'll give you a very personal example for myself. Right, when I switched over from IT to FMCG in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. Okay. At that time, I was an account manager in the IT sector, in one of the IT sectors. Okay. And it was very common, right? You manage big accounts. But when I moved over to FMCG in sales, this notion of managing key accounts was very, very, very new. So I transferred whatever skills I learned in the IT sector and used that in the FMCG sector as a key account manager. Okay? So you transfer across. Okay, so that's just a simple example. I can quote many more examples in my own career switching process, but that's just one example. Right? So think about this. Okay, what other experiences or skill sets, whether it's work or non-work related from other areas, other industries, can you bring it to your current table and say, hey, I can use this to help in my new job or new career? All right. Time now is 3:03. Okay, so let's take a 10-minute break, and then we come back and we go on to the next few components of this process of how we develop an innovative mindset. All right, so I'll see you guys in 10 minutes. All right, enough about Justin Bieber. Okay, hopefully all you all come back on your short little break, 10-minute break. Hopefully you had a chance to stretch and think about the stuff that we talked about over the last hour or so. In the last 10 minutes or so before going for the break, we talked about what sort of engine you need to have in order to develop or enhance your innovative mindset. Okay, we said one is attitude, right? And the other one is what? What is the other one? Can you remember what is the other one? The other one is talent stack. And then we ended up talking about trying out these two things, bringing some experiences from either your past jobs or even your hobby, your past career, past industries, different industries, and applying it to your current situation. All right, see how it goes. All right, so that's the engine part. That's the engine part. So let's take a look at the next one, which is learning. And learning here, we're going to talk about mindsets. Mindsets. As you see from the top there, it says fixed versus growth mindset. Right? So my first question to you guys, hopefully the little break given you some fresh perspectives. What are the signs that a person has got a fixed mindset? What is the behavior of someone who has a fixed mindset? Can you all type into the chat box? What do you guys think? Gary says closed, so it's a closed mindset. Any other comment? Rigid, okay, inflexible. That's what you mean. So it doesn't learn from mistakes. Don't change, resistant to change. Any others? What are the signs that this person has? Do they like criticism? They don't like challenges, right? Sometimes criticism is not a good idea for them as well, right? Because they think what they did is the right thing. Okay, inflexible. Okay, so I think it's very important to understand what exhibits a fixed mindset. Okay, maybe you have this. I know I used to have this, and maybe in some elements I still do. Okay, so I'm constantly trying to correct myself. So these are some of the signs. Okay, you avoid challenges, you shy away from things you don't know, you don't like criticism. Okay, your intelligence, is static. That means you're not learning new things. You dare not try new things without getting somebody else's approval. You're trying to prove yourself a lot. Yeah? You don't like it when other people are more successful than you. Okay. No, to you, if it's not fruitful, the effort made, then you don't do it. Okay. Sometimes you look at failure in the wrong way. You think it's a limitation, and then sometimes you give up very easily. Okay. So those are some possible signs of a fixed mindset. So let's flip it around. What's a growth mindset? Okay. All of you will probably say, oh, it's the opposite of all those things. But why don't you type into the chat box? Tell me, what do you think are signs of someone who likes to grow, likes to think of new things? Okay, Gary says curious. Any other elements? Forward, fail forward. I like that term, Daisy, fail forward. You learn new things. You're keen to learn, very positive, open to new things. Any others? What about the feedback, criticism? Do they ask for feedback, or do they shy away from feedback? Right? Usually they are open, right? They are open to other people telling you maybe you did somewhere you need to improve on. Okay, they're teachable. I like the word again, Daisy. Very good. Teachable, adaptable. All right, very good. So in essence, okay, you like challenges because challenges are opportunities for you, okay, to learn. Okay, so you embrace your weakness, you acknowledge your weakness. Okay, you learn to give as well as receive, but constructive criticism. Intelligence is ever improving. You learn always. You prioritize learning. Okay, you focus on the process, sometimes even more than the end result. Okay, you're inspired by others. You don't feel threatened by others. You're inspired by others. I like this term. Think of learning as brain training. Think of learning as brain training. Okay? Understanding failure is an opportunity to grow. Right? Even if you're faced with setbacks, you persist. Okay? Someone mentioned earlier on resilience. Right? Now, all these things are well and good, right? We said a lot of those stuff, but how do we develop this? How do we develop this growth mindset? Not as easy as it looks. Huh? You have to be very conscious about all these things. Okay. So apart from knowing what the signs are, I think the key thing here is really looking at what mistakes you made, learning from them. Okay. You look at challenges in a more positive way. You embrace them. Okay. Obstacles, setbacks, all these things you're not afraid of. Okay. You want to meet them head on with creativity, with imagination. Right? So no fear in overcoming things. Go ahead, do it. Okay. Feedback is so important if you want to have a growth mindset, because you are not an island. We are not an island. Well, Singapore is an island, but we don't operate as a sole entity. Okay. We work with other people. We depend on other people. We help other people. Okay. So we always must have feedback. Okay? Just like what you're going to do at the end of today's session. You're going to fill in a survey to give feedback on what I've done. Plus, minus, never mind. That's how I learn. You commit to a lifetime of learning. Now, I know it's difficult, especially for mature workers. You know, you think, well, no, I got to go back to school again. I got to learn new things. I got to attend classes. I don't know. Very tough. I know it's very tough. Okay. I personally find it very, very admirable for people who actually go for night classes and learn new courses while they're at work. Very, very, I really admire those. I personally find it very difficult, but my way of learning is different. Okay. Maybe I'll share with you in a little while. Now, we are living in an environment which promotes a lot of learning. Okay? So this is the next one that I'm going to talk about now, learning. Do you all know this date? 6 August 1991. Do you know what the date is? If you say it's my birthday, I say thank you very much, but it's not my birthday. What do you think that date signifies? 6 August 1991. 6 August 1991. Anyone has an idea? You type into the chat box. If anyone has an idea, tell me. Okay. But 6 August 1991, for many people, is considered to be the birth of the internet. Yes, Rock, cheers. The birth of the internet. Okay. And with the internet, many people say it is the new age of learning. The new age of learning. Can you remember, those of you, can you remember the time when there was no internet? How different things were, right? So, you know, you think about this. Our world has changed irrevocably since then in the way we do things, right? Just purely because of this particular platform. I still remember when I started work, I started my work in 1989. It was pre-internet. I worked in a company, even though it's an IT company, I went in a company where they had intra-company communication, a mini form internet, but within the company. But we still did things the old way, right? The other day, I was just talking to someone in the car. I cannot imagine driving and looking for something now without the use of a GPS. I still remember the times where I had to flip through the road map, the thick manual, the road manual. Those of you can remember or not? I think those of you, if you started driving in the last five or 10 years, you will not know what the road street directory is all about, right? Because GPS was already up. Just imagine going through the street directory and trying to find your way around. Hayo, xiao man. Okay, so the age of internet changed the way we looked at things, right? It is what? It is about anytime, anything, anywhere. Okay, can you type into the chat box? What has internet done for learning itself? How has internet affected the way we learn, the way we interact with people? Can you type into the chat box? How do you think internet has affected the way we looked at things? Democratize, on demand, I like this speed, you're connected, easy to access, convenience, right? Connectivity 24/7. Google is our best friend, right? Exponential learning activity opportunities, I like that. Exponential meaning you're building on other things. Makes learning so much more easier. Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so some people say that this new internet is another new renaissance, age of learning. All right. So open sourcing, you're building on other people's ideas. You don't have to be original anymore. You look at what other people has done, you build on it. Collaboration is so much more easier. You're collaborating with people you don't even know. You're collaborating with people who are maybe you don't see. They don't live in the same time zone as you. It's possible to do that. Social media, wow, you're knowing what's happening outside of the news agencies. You're listening to what people on the ground are talking, right? New careers and jobs. The influencer can only happen because of internet age, right? Because without the internet, there won't be influencers. Okay. Lacey says remote work arrangement. Yeah, would not have been possible without the internet, right? Economies of scale. Right? Those of you who are working in businesses, you'll notice your business is not bound by locality anymore. The world is your oyster. By the way, for me, the internet has actually been a big boon to my business because when I coach people, when I teach classes, teach workshops, it's not just people in Singapore, okay? Because I've got clients in many, many countries, North America, parts of Asia. I've got a couple in Europe as well. So without the internet, I would not have been able to do that, right? New ideas, we become more creative, And I like this last one, which I think someone mentioned, speed. You do things so much faster now, right? Do things so much faster. Eddie, you said independence. It is a measure of independence, but it is also a measure of interdependence. Okay, so there is this dichotomy here, right? You can be very independent because you can work alone at home, but at the same time, you're also very easily connectable to other people. Okay, so very, very important. I just lost my train of thought. I wanted to say something. Never mind, I'll say something. Okay, so learning, right? So we want to have a growth mindset, right? We want to have a growth mindset. So how do we develop this growth mindset? A couple of things you can try. Maybe think about something you've done before in the past, a mistake. What did you learn from it? And how did you leverage on that lesson? Think about this. So these are learning from our mistakes. Okay, be very conscious about this. Or identify what new skills you can learn to help in your career or job. A personal example, I told you, right, about 6 months ago, no, more than 6 months ago, when I was thinking about how to level up the way I do things online, I went to look at how YouTubers do it. Those of you who looked at YouTube, you know that a lot of people now do a lot of fancy stuff, very creative stuff and all that. So I went there, I learned how to use different software, different apps. Okay. It was a steep learning curve, but I managed to learn. And what you see today is really a result of all those things I combined together. I combined together using different apps, different software, not just a traditional PowerPoint, not just a traditional way of talking with a little speaker box at the corner. Okay, I put myself into the picture. Okay, so all these things I learned, but I learned it from a different area. Bring it back to here, what I'm doing now, and it's helped me. Okay, so you can do it too. Think of what new skills you can learn from another area and bring it to what you're doing now into your own career or job. We okay? All right, try it out. Right, so we talked about engine, we talked about learning. Next one, place. This is a question, this is referring to one of the questions asked earlier about how do we select an organization that allows us to be innovative. Okay, so really here I'm talking about what type of organization do we think would suit our innovation development. Can you type into the chat box, what do you think is the nature of the organization? If the organizations, like for example, you mentioned Apple, Google, and all that, what makes them so special that they can create an innovative culture? What do you guys think? What is the culture of the company, the organization, that enhances people to be more innovative, to think differently? Any ideas? Type into the chat box. What do you guys think? Think about Google, Apple, Amazon. You know, what do they do differently? Okay, Gary says experimental branding, maybe. Accept mistakes. I like that, Veronica. Accept mistakes. I'm going to comment about that in a while. Empowerment, culture that promotes diversity, inclusion. That means different ideas, right? Diversity comes with different ideas. Yeah. Right? And brand, people focus, open space. In other words, the physical environment is important. They focus on problem solving. Yeah. They specify what problems needs to be solved. Startup mentality, Putan. Maybe you can elaborate a little bit more. What do you mean by startup mentality? Is it because they're more flexible? They're more adaptable? Is that what you mean by startup mentality? Or is it a can-do mentality? Entrepreneurial. Okay, entrepreneurial. All very good points. Communication. They talk to their people. They listen to their people. Listen to new ideas. Yeah, very good. Very good. So let's sort of summarize this into a few points, because I think these points, if you want to join a company that allows you to be creative, allows you to do things differently, if that's what you want, then really some key points needs to be there. Okay, a company that promotes learning, that encourages you to go and learn and take courses, right? An organization that values people who can help solve problems. Okay. In other words, if you display a problem-solving skill knack to help other people do things, then by all means, you know. Collaborative infrastructure. So this could be the way the open plan office, it could be open spaces like somebody mentioned, right? It could be even as simple as, you know, there's no offices around. Okay, so something that enhances people to work together. Solutions focus. So a little bit related to the problem solving, they look at what is the issue, what needs to be solved. So by being solutions focused, then they are willing to bring together different people with different expertise together and try and solve the problem. Okay. And this one, I want to mention more. Accepts mistakes. It is very important for a company to accept mistakes, right? Because they say if you don't make mistakes, that means you're not trying. But there's always a big but here, because no company would be very tolerant if you keep making the same mistakes. Right? So you must learn from your mistakes. Okay, so they are making mistakes acceptable, but you must learn from it. Okay, yeah. So the thing here is now, you all must be asking yourself, wow, which company has got all these things, boy? Impossible, no company has got all these things. Actually, if you think about it, maybe not one single company has got every single thing that you see here listed, but many of them probably have elements of this that you can leverage on. Okay, so here the thing here is to try it, identify elements in your environment that allows and encourages you to do things differently. Okay, and then focus on what you can influence and learn. Okay, so if you are working in an environment now, currently, think about the company that you're working in. Are there aspects which allow you to do the things that we just mentioned there? Right? If there are, how can you leverage on that? Okay. Now, for those of you who are on the lookout for a different organization, then you have to start digging deeper before you actually commit to yourself to that organization or even target yourself for that organization. You got to do a lot of research digging, whether it's by talking to people or whether it's online research or whatever. Find out what the culture is all about. Okay, because at the end of the day, it's equally important that the environment that we work in suits us as well. Okay, right. We talk about place. Right. Next one. See the big picture. What is the big picture? Sometimes it's very, very, how should I put it? Very common. When we come across a problem and we find difficulty solving the problem, we get so frustrated, like this guy trying to open a pickle jar, but he can't do it. So he keeps trying, doing the same thing. Okay. What about doing things in a very different way? Okay? Instead of just trying to use your hands to open the pickle jar, is there another way to do things? Okay, so firstly, what is the real challenge? What is the real problem? What is the cause of this issue? Okay, so in this case, if it's a pickle jar that cannot be opened, what is the problem? Is it because it's been stuck too long? Is it because it was an environment where everything expanded and therefore it was stuck there? What can you do about it? Okay, so similarly, when you come across a big problem, is there another way around it? So, in the past 2 years or so, okay, the COVID has actually revealed the innovative ways that many companies and people have gone around trying to overcome the constraints placed by the COVID situation, the lockdowns, the no contacts and all that, okay, in order to survive, right? So they all ask themselves, if you have no choice, instead of going out of business, what can we do to make it happen? What can we do to make it happen? Can you think of any examples of companies that sort of tweak their traditional business models to cope with the impact of COVID? Can you think of any examples? Type into the chat box if you can think of anything. Okay, I can think of one. Okay, for example, Grab. Okay, they, instead of just driving taxis, driving passengers, they move into other services like logistic, courier, delivery, right? Food delivery, right? I know a CEO who runs a clothing manufacturing company. Okay, his operations was badly affected because there wasn't any shipment, he couldn't produce, there's no workers, right? No business. So he tweaked it such that he became one of the major suppliers to the government to supply the free face mask. He tweaked and re-engineered his tools to make the face mask. Okay, so everybody has to do things in a different way to survive. Okay, yeah, Kelly, I like that. Hotels, renting rooms for people to work in during office hours. Very interesting, right? I'm sure all of us have got examples of that. So here, the thing here is this, really put yourself in a situation. Alamak, if I've got no choice, die must do, what can I do? Okay, and one of the ways to do this is really look at things in a different perspective. Excuse me. Right? How do you approach the problem? Can you do it in a different way? Anybody here works in DBS or knows of people who works in DBS. DBS is a good example. I came across this article recently talking about what DBS does. Anybody or knows anybody who works in DBS? Okay. Essentially, this particular article, maybe I paste this article and see, y'all can refer to this. Let me just place this link. Where is it? Where is the link? Sorry, let me find the link, then I can paste the article for you. Yes, here it is. Well, it's a very interesting article because, it basically, the article says that DBS, how DBS became the world's best bank, right? By doing something very interesting and different. So here is the link to the article. Okay, it's in there. So what the article basically said is that to encourage employees to think like techies, okay, to solve problems. So, but not just any techie, but they used Jeff Bezos, Amazon's boss, as a prime motivator, prime example. So they adopted this phrase, what would Jeff do? So if ever they come across a big problem, they will be thinking, oh, I can't do this. Then somebody say, what would Jeff do? What would he think? What would he do? How would he do it? Okay, so essentially what this does is that it's forcing you to put yourself into the mind of somebody else who is very innovative and say, hey, what would that person do? I thought it was a very interesting idea. And I thought it, again, very innovative way of doing things. Maybe you all can try it. Okay. If you know of someone who's very creative, or you know of, you admire someone who's very creative, what would Jeff do? What would Steve do? Okay. All right. So think about all those things, right? So really at the end of the day, seeing big is really looking at what is the real challenge, what is the real cause, and doing things in a very different way. Okay. So try something like this. Okay. So pick an established process that's used a lot. Okay, currently, maybe in your company or in your work, in your life, or in your home. Think of ideas on how to streamline or improve this whole thing. I'll give you one example. I keep a couple of huge fish tanks. Okay, and my fish, it's not arowana, by the way, but it's some other variety of fish. And in the old days, I found myself, whenever I had to change or maintain the fish tank, I went to the process of trying to use buckets of water to transport between my tank and my bathroom. There's the water, and it's quite far, and there's a lot of water. Then I started looking at how to do this, and I saw people did it in using hoses and all that. Then I tried it. Then I said, hey, can I improve on this? And basically what I've done now is I've actually got a system where my hose is basically connected to my tap. Okay. It not just feeds new water in, but it also drains the water at the same time. Can you imagine? So I basically adapted that so that when I turn the tap on, the water is drained. Then once the water is drained, I turn the tap the other way, it fills back with water. Okay. So think of ways to improve on things. Right? Eddie says digital fish and fish tank or TV screen cheaper. You're right, they are cheaper. Okay, we talked about seeing big. So the next one, YNWA. Those of you who know what is YNWA, you know my football allegiance. So if you know what YNWA stands for, type it into the chat box. All right. But at the end of the day, I'm going to show this to you. Okay. YNWA stands for You Never Walk Alone. Okay. What this basically means is that, being innovative, trying to develop an innovative mindset is something that you shouldn't be doing alone. You are not an island, like I mentioned earlier. Okay. So you need to involve other people. You need to involve other people. You need to work with other people. And very, very importantly, you need to surround yourself with people who are positive in outlook as well, not negative people. Not like what Einstein says, I stay away from negative people. They have a problem for every solution. All right. So No, when you surround yourself with people who are very creative, very innovative, you tend to get the vibe, you tend to think in the same way as well. Okay, that's why it's so common for artists to gather together, for writers to gather together, right? So it's the same thing. Okay, so very important to do this. So when you're involving others, really these things happen. You are establishing accountability between each other or with each other. You cross-fertilize ideas. And the people that you hang around with doesn't have to be the same, the people that works in the same industry or the same area that you specialize in. It doesn't have. In fact, there's argument to say that, you actually get more by mixing with people from different disciplines or different industries. Okay, because there are new ideas coming up. So you learn best practices from others. You co-create new ways of doing things. Okay, so again, I'll give you another example. When I moved from FMCG way to hotel and leisure, okay, I actually transferred a lot of what I did in FMCG, the account management principles, the way we construct new ideas, do the marketing, and moved it over to hotel and leisure. Okay, and I talked to a lot of friends in both industries and said, how can we implement this and that? And when I came in, I started changing a lot of stuff within the company that I worked in. All right. So try it. Okay. Talk to someone from a different department or a role or industry and ask them, how would they solve the problem you're currently working on? Okay. If you're currently within a company, mix with people from the other departments. Don't just hang around your own department because the ideas will always be stale. Mix with other people. Mix with people from our companies. Okay. Get fresh ideas. Get fresh ideas. Are we okay? All right. Okay. So we talked 5 elements already. So now is the last one, which I think should be intuitive. You all should know this. I shouldn't need to explain a lot about this. Okay. But essentially keeping healthy. All right. Because at the end of the day, if we don't have a healthy body, we will not have a healthy mind. Okay. And I always find that this is something many people neglect because either you don't have the time. You see, the way I look at things, if somebody tells you they don't have time, it basically means what? It doesn't really actually mean they don't have time. It's just that they don't prioritize it enough. Okay. So in this particular aspect, I really feel that if you want to keep healthy, you have to prioritize it and make time for it. Okay. So try this. Commit to a physical activity at least 3 times a week that lasts for at least 30 minutes each. Okay. I leave it to your imagination what these activities are, but try and do that. Keep your heart rate up. Okay, I just went for my doctor's appointment, all right? And basically that's what he told me as well. So I have to do activities that keep my heart rate up. Okay, all right. There we have it, okay? We've done the 6 elements, and basically what we've gone through is how to develop or enhance your innovative mindset. Okay, before we move on to the last portion, I think it's 3:45, just in time, okay? Anybody got any questions that you want me to address now? If not, I can address it towards the end. Okay, I don't see any questions. Okay, good. And let me then cover the last portion. How to use these in your career or job search. Okay. First things first. Those of you who've been to my past workshop, you will hear this ad nauseum. Employers are risk averse. Okay, they don't like to take risks in hiring new people. Okay, they want to hire people who can help solve their problems. So in other words, it is not about you, but it's about how you can help them. Okay, first key thing you got to remember. So in other words, if you remember this table, okay, we worked on just now, okay, instead of getting them to focus on negative part, if you are someone who's very innovative, who likes to do things differently, you got to move your employer, potential employer, to think of you in a more positive aspect. Okay, so that's the key thing. And how you do this is very simple. Well, I say it's very simple in terms of concept, but sometimes actually doing it may need to put in a bit of effort. is really to become a problem solver. Okay, to become a problem solver. Right? Once you become a problem solver, you become an asset, not a risk. Okay, I don't have time to go through all the steps to identify yourself as a problem solver, but essentially it goes like this. Know what your skills are, what your experiences are, what you're good at, the exercise that we did, all right? You need to identify what problems you help people solve, right? So for example, if you are very good people motivator, team player, having those skills means what problem can you help the company solve, okay? All right? Then you go about crafting your personal branding messages, your communication to position yourself as someone who helps solve that problem. Okay. Now, in your resume and your interview, how do you showcase your innovative mindset? A few key things that you can do. In resume, use keywords to show independence, problem-solving action. Okay, so for example, spearheading, predicted, develop, recognize, you created something. Those are the keywords, action verbs. Okay, make sure you connect all these to results. Okay, so for example, here, this one says, foster new relationships with 15 new clients that led to a 10 million increase in revenue. So there must be results. Okay, so it's a combination of your creativity, your proactiveness, the way you do things to achieve success. Put that in your resume. Those very clear examples. Then you got to communicate this during your interview, right? So interview, before the interview, you got to brainstorm maybe with a friend or with yourself, examples that show such creativity, such collaboration, such forward thinking. You got to brainstorm, you got to list these down and be very ready to share them. Okay. And then during the interview itself, you use the way you answer questions is to use a STAR approach as situation, task, action, results. Okay. What is the situation or what is the problem? What did you need to do? What steps you took? And what were the end results? Okay. Now, Google, the STAR approach, lots of examples out there. Okay. But you need to practice this. Right? When you're talking about what you've done, you really want to emphasize how creative you were. You know, the key thing was you might say that you considered all the different ways of doing things. You know, you considered how you did things differently. You considered how you worked with people. Show that, okay, during your discussion, during the interview stage. Okay, are we okay with this? All right. So these are some key ways for you to sort of enhance and showcase your innovative mindset. Then as far as the general approach is concerned, really at the end of the day, you want to find a company that suits you best. Okay. If you feel that you want to work in a company that has got all the elements that allows you to leverage on your creativity, your willingness to do things differently, then you got to look for that company. You got to really do your research and look for that company. They won't drop in your lap. Okay. You got to be very clear about what value add you bring. In other words, what problems you solve, what problems you can solve. All right. You got to be prepared to prove your worth. Use your toolkit. Okay. That means the attitude that you have, the talent stack that you have. Use those toolkits to help solve problems during the work itself. Focus on what you can control, right? Don't think too much about things that are outside of your control. Okay, be patient. This is something I always tell people. It is not a conflict between passion and career. Okay, ideally, you should combine what you really love to complement your career. It should not be a challenge or it should not be a substitute. Okay, it should not be. Ideally, you should be able to combine the two together. All right. Any questions about the way we could communicate our innovative or creative mindset in our job search before I go on to the summary? Anyone? All right, if no questions, then let me move on to the summary part. Okay. All right. So we've covered these 4 elements over the last couple of hours. What are the signs of an innovative mindset? Okay, why is this important for our career? Okay, how to develop and how to use it. Right. So firstly, what is an innovative mindset? We need to understand this. It's always about seeing new opportunities, new possibilities, or very simply doing something in a very different way. Okay, but very importantly, there's an element of action in there. Okay, it's not just about the dreamers or the visionaries, but you have to implement and do and take action. Okay, then what are the qualities? It's basically the ability to see beyond traditional boundaries, integrative thinking, connecting complex complex connections, all right, and then taking action. Now, why is this important in our career? Essentially, it's about future proofing. Because once you future proof, you are basically saying you can solve more complex problems. You are able to stand out from people who have difficulty in doing this. There's not many people are able to pull different things together and solve a problem. If you can do that, you become an asset. Okay. So how do we do this? That's what we spend the last about 45 minutes doing so. So essentially, firstly, we go through the engine where we talk about the right attitude and talking about how we identify what we are good at. Okay? Developing a growth mindset. Okay? Choosing the right organization for ourselves. Organization that promotes things that can be done differently. Okay? Being able to look at things in a very different way, really going down to the root cause of what is really the problem. Involve other people. You are not alone. Okay? In fact, you should be surrounding yourself with people who are able to provide the motivation and the juices for you to think in a very creative way. Okay? And obviously, the last one is to make sure you keep healthy. Make sure you keep healthy. I shouldn't actually put that in the last one. It should be the first one, actually. But anyway, it's there. Okay. You need to develop a mindset where you become an asset, not a risk. And essentially, by doing that, you need to be a problem solver. Okay. Once you become a problem solver, once you can tell people how you help them to solve problems, they will want you. They will want you. Okay. Right. That comes to that was the last slide of the main content itself. So any already connected up with me, I invite you to connect up with me either through LinkedIn or through my Facebook group, because I regularly share insights and opinions as to how to manage careers and sometimes job tips as well in those places. Okay, so let me just share the URLs in the chat box so that it's easier for you guys. So let me copy that. Okay, so this is the URL to my Facebook group. Then my LinkedIn group, it's quite easy, like LIMYW. Okay, so you can take a look at that. So I invite you all to sort of connect up with me in those and just keep in touch, because I think this workshop is, to me, I think those of you who have been to my past workshops will know, to me, just attending my workshop is not the end of the session, but it's really the beginning of hopefully the way we work together. Okay. Now, the other thing I want to ask is, right, those of you who are interested in getting the the recording of this video itself, this video recording of this session, I need you to fill up a form that provides me with information and permission to allow me to send these to you. Okay, so the link again is in the chat box. So at the end of the day, it's very important that I need you to sort of click on this thing here that says, please click on this box so that I can add you to my mailing list to inform you of upcoming career-related activities. You can always unsubscribe at any time. If you don't click this, I won't have permission to send you the video link. Okay, so that's one. The other thing here is make sure that you check your spam box. Okay, because I think in the past, some people said they've not received it, but when they check the spam box, it's there. Okay, because when I send it out as a mailing list. So sometimes your own mailing client may just pick this up and put it in the spam. Okay, so check on that, and then try and try and put me in the white. What do you call it? The white list, the white list. Okay, so again, what I normally do is that I would send out the video link about a week later after the workshop, and the video would minus off all the Q&As from the session for the privacy issues. Okay, that's what I've been told. Okay, so let's do that. All right. Okay, Susanna, if you have already subscribed, then you don't need to fill it again. Hopefully, Susanna, you have been receiving my past newsletters. If you have, then that means you are already part of that. Because I know some people who fill this up, but they didn't click on that box here. So my system didn't pick you up. But if you have clicked on that and you've been receiving my newsletters, then it's okay. All right. So hopefully that's all right. Huh? All right. So as far as future workshops are concerned, these are the next 3 workshops that I have for WSG. Okay, and the next couple of workshops are happening in August. Right, so this time around, they're asking me to do 2 workshops. You can see that. And the way you register for those workshops will be through the same channel that you have been doing so for this particular workshop. Right. And the other thing I need your help on is to fill up this survey form. I'm going to put in the URL in the survey form. There you go. It's in the chat box. So go to this link in the chat box. Please fill in the feedback form for us. Okay. Please go scroll down to the 21st July workshop called Developing an Innovative Mindset and fill that up. Okay. Really appreciate that. Okay. While you guys are doing so, why don't I give you a 5-minute break first before I go on to the final bonus section, which I think those of you who have been to my past workshops, you will know that I always have a bonus section, but it's really it's about what can you do after this workshop. All right. And this time round, I've added some bits of information. So if you want to stay on, by all means do so. If you feel that you've gotten enough from me today, all right. Thank you so much for spending the last couple of hours or so with me. I hope to see you again soon, connect up with you on social media or somewhere else, or maybe through the mailing list. All right. If you've signed up for the mailing list, please give me about a week, then I'll send you the link to the video itself. All right. And then also help me fill up the feedback form here. Okay. So those of you who are going to stay on, let's take a 5-minute break, and then we come back and we'll sort of tidy up. I think just basically got 2 more slides in the bonus section itself. All right. In the meantime, you all can go to the links and then just sign up for them. Okay. I see you guys in a while if you are staying on. Okay. Welcome back. I see there's still about 54 people here. So I guess I can go on to talk about the couple of extra stuff that I'm suggesting for you guys to consider. All right. So firstly, this is the topic of career switching was one of the topics that one of the workshops that I've done regularly. And the reason why I've decided to do an e-course, okay, was because the number of people who came back to me after the session was just basically so many that I couldn't take on everyone. Okay. So what I've done here is that I've developed an e-course here. It's entitled Supercharge Your Career Confidence, Your Confidence in Making a Career Switch. Okay. And those are the topics that you see there. Basically, it's about 6 chapters. Right. So I've opened this up to participants in my workshop before. Okay. And basically it's a special discount, but and so far right now, since I've done this since February or March, I think, okay, quite a few people have taken out. I think almost about 70 to 80 people from my workshop participants. I've got other people who've purchased this outside of the workshop, okay? And the workshop, those of you who are interested, you will be getting it at a special pricing, okay? Instead of the usual $497, it's going to be $197, okay? And there's a 30-day guarantee, money back guarantee. Now, I'm going to close this because I've been getting, I think that I just want to make sure that, it's going to be fair to other people because there's some people who bought at the higher price. So I think I need to close this off. So the link is there in the chat box again. Okay, CE, CE stands for Career Exploration, Ken. All right. So this offer, this pricing is going to end July 24th. Okay, it's been open like this for my workshop participants since March already. So I think it's about time I close it already. Okay, so again, if you want to take a look at it, by all means do so. Okay, no obligation. Essentially, it is going to bring you through the whole process of what you need to do in order to make a career switch. And at the end of the day, it's about getting confidence in it. So you go to that link, you take a look at the information there. That'll give you an idea. All right. So that's one aspect. Now, the other thing that I just want to share with you all, this is something I shared previously in my last workshop, but it was for a specific event, but now I'm going to open this up to everyone. Oh, by the way, this e-course is not going to be the only one. I haven't done another one yet because I just really don't have the time. Because every time after each workshop, I get inundated with a lot of requests. So I'm handling those requests. But I figured that I think I better go and do more e-course so that, if you guys want to engage me to help, apart from just the coaching, which I know, I possibly cannot take everyone for coaching. So the e-course is basically the next good alternative for you. All right. So I'm going to come up with more of these e-courses, and I'll be sending the information to you if you're on my mailing list. Now, then the other thing that I'm doing also is basically training people to be career coaches. All right. So I regularly run courses. In fact, the last in the June workshop, I sort of opened up the class for anyone interested in the August one, and that's already filled up already. So the August workshop is already finished. But if you want to know more and you are interested, the link to more information about the training to become a career coach is in the chat box, and you can just email me YW. Okay, let me just copy my email address inside the chat box as well. All right, so that you all can see, and so that you all can send to me any questions you may have if you are interested in doing this. So this coaching certification is recognized globally. I represent someone organization called the National Career Development Association, NCDA, and basically at the end of this, you get a certificate that you're eligible to actually apply for 2 credentials. Okay, that is recognized internationally. The way I teach it is either do it one-on-one, or I do it in a very small class, maximum 6 people. Yeah, I don't do big classes. I don't find that productive at all, especially if I want to train people to be good career coaches. I need to have a customized, really small environment. So that's what I specialize in. Okay, so this is all done online, and if you need more information, you just email me. I can let you. We can talk about it. If you are from a workshop, my past workshop participant, just let me know, and then we can. I will offer you the special rate as well for this. Okay. So I think that's about all the bonus points I have for you guys. Hopefully, this doesn't mean the end of my interaction with all of you, but the beginning. So unless there's any other questions that you want, by the way, I've allowed you all to open up your mic, so you can use your mic to ask me questions personally as well if you want. We can talk right now. If not, then I wish you guys well. All right, and hopefully you all take care of yourself. I know the more cases of COVID is arising now, and I really don't like to see that because everybody is thinking that it's over and done with. It's not. So please continue to take care of yourself. All right, take care of yourself, especially when you're traveling. Right, I think most of people catch all these things while they're traveling. All right. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Take care. All right. See you soon.